It's about my mother, Honor. She's very sick and can't come to work today. I'm here to let you know. Meso explained, her voice trembling. Mrs. Prudence face hardened. Sick or not, she needs to be here. If she doesn't return to work immediately, she should never come back. Meso felt tears welling up in her eyes. She knelt down pleading, please, Mrs. Prudence, give her a few days to recover. In the peaceful city of Enugu, there lived a beautiful teenage girl named Meso. She was known for her radiant smile and kind heart. Meso lived with her mother Honor in a small but cozy house. Their home was filled with love, laughter, and the aroma of delicious meals cooked by Meso. Meso had recently graduated from high school. She dreamed of going to university, but financial difficulties stood in her way. Honor worked tirelessly to provide for her daughter, doing all kinds of jobs. She was a cleaner, a market vendor, and even took up sewing work when she could. Honor's dedication to her daughter was unwavering. Despite their struggles, Meso and Honor shared a strong bond. Meso did not know much about her mother's family or her own father. Whenever she brought up the topic, Honor would change the subject. This mystery did not diminish the love between Meso and her mother. She understood that there were some things Honor was not ready to talk about. Every day, Meso took care of the house. She cleaned, cooked, and made sure everything was in order before Honor returned from work. She enjoyed making her mother happy. In the evenings, they would sit together and share stories about their day. One evening, after finishing her chores, Meso sat on the porch, waiting for her mother. The sun was setting, casting a warm golden glow over the city. She watched the neighbors returning home, children playing in the streets, and the vendors packing up their stalls. Soon, Honor arrived, looking tired but smiling. She carried a bag of vegetables and fruits. Her face lighting up as she saw Meso. Meso, my dear, how was your day? Honor asked, her voice filled with warmth. It was good, Mama, Meso replied, taking the bag from her mother. I cleaned the house and prepared dinner. How was work today? It was busy, but I managed, Honor said, sitting down and stretching her legs. I sold all the vegetables at the market today, thank God. Meso smiled. That's great, Mama. You worked so hard. You deserve some rest. Honor nodded, her eyes filled with pride. And you, my dear, you make everything easier for me. Thank you. Meso blushed. It's nothing, Mama. I love taking care of you. They went inside, and Meso served dinner. The aroma of jollof rice and fried plantains filled the room. They sat at the small wooden table, enjoying their meal. This is delicious, Meso, Honor said, savoring each bite. You are a wonderful cook. Thank you, Mama. I learned from the best. Meso replied, her eyes twinkling. After dinner, they sat on the couch, sipping tea and talking about their day. Do you remember Mrs. Nkem, the woman who sells fabrics at the market? Honor asked. Yes, I do, Meso replied. She always has beautiful materials. She told me today that her daughter got a scholarship to study in America. Honor said, a hint of envy in her voice. I wish I could give you such opportunities. Mama, please don't worry about it. Meso said, taking her mother's hand. We have each other, and that's what matters. Honor smiled, though her eyes was moist. You are a blessing, Meso. I am so proud of you. Thank you, Mama. I am proud of you too. Meso said, hugging her mother. They sat in silence for a while, enjoying the comfort of each other's presence. The room was filled with a peaceful stillness, broken only by the occasional chirping of crickets outside. Mama, Meso began hesitantly. Can I ask you something? Ona looked at her daughter, sensing the seriousness in her tone. Of course, my dear, what is it? I was wondering about our family, Meso said carefully. I don't know anything about them, and I just want to understand. Ona's expression changed, a shadow crossing her face. She sighed deeply, her eyes avoiding Meso's gaze. Meso, my dear, some things are better left alone. But Mama, I just want to know about my father and your family. Meso persisted gently. It's not that I want to bring up any painful memories, but I feel like there is a part of me that is missing. Ona's eyes filled with unshed tears. Meso, I understand your curiosity, but some stories are too painful to tell. Please, trust me on this. Meso nodded, sensing her mother's discomfort. Okay, Mama, I won't ask again. I just want you to know that I'm here for you, no matter what. Ona reached out and held her daughter's hand. Thank you, my dear. Your understanding means everything to me. They sat together, holding hands, letting the silence speak for them. The bond between them was unbreakable, built on love, trust, and mutual respect. As the night grew darker, Meso helped Ona to her room. Good night, Mama. Rest well. Good night, Meso. Sleep well, my angel. Ona replied, kissing her daughter's forehead. Meso went to her own room, lying on her bed, staring at the ceiling. She couldn't help but wonder about the family she had never known. But she decided to respect her mother's wishes and not dwell on it too much. The next morning, Meso woke up early as usual. She prepared breakfast, a simple meal of akara bean cakes and pap. The aroma filled the house, waking Ona. Meso, you are up early, Ona said, entering the kitchen. Yes, Mama. I wanted to make sure you had a good breakfast before you go out to work. Meso replied, smiling. You are too kind, my dear, Ona said, sitting down at the table. This smells wonderful. They ate breakfast together, chatting about their plans for the day. I have to go to the market again today, Ona said, but I will try to come back early so we can spend some time together. That sounds great, Mama. I will take care of the house and prepare something special for dinner, Meso said. Ona smiled, her heart filled with love for her daughter. You are a blessing, Meso. I don't know what I would do without you. You don't have to worry about that, Mama. We have each other, and that's enough, Meso replied, hugging her mother. Life continued in Enugu for Meso and her mother Ona. They navigated their daily routines with resilience and hope. Despite the financial challenges they faced, each day brought a new set of tasks and responsibility, but their bond grew stronger with shared moments. One afternoon, while Ona was walking back from the market, she encountered a familiar face from her past. Ona, is that really you? A voice called out from behind her. Ona turned around and saw Maria, her childhood friend. A wide smile spread across Ona's face as she recognized her friend. Maria, it's been ages. How have you been? Maria hurried over and hugged Ona tightly. I've been good, Ona. How about you? How is life treating you? Ona sighed, but her smile remained. We have been managing. It's just Meso and me now. Things have been tough, but we are getting by. Maria nodded sympathetically. I heard about your struggles. That's why I'm so glad we bumped into each other today. I have some good news for you. Ona's eyes sparkled with curiosity. Good news? What is it? Maria leaned closer and whispered, there is a job opening as a housekeeper for the richest family in our city. The pay is incredible, Ona. 1 month's salary is equivalent to what you can make the entire year. Honor's heart skipped a beat. Are you serious, Maria? That sounds like a dream come true. It's true, Maria assured her. The job is with the family. You should apply. It could change your life. Filled with hope and excitement, Honor couldn't wait to share the news with Mmeso. She hurried home, her heart racing with anticipation. As soon as she walked through the door, she called out to her daughter. Mmeso, I have some wonderful news, Honor exclaimed, her eyes shining with excitement. Mmeso came out of the kitchen, wiping her hands on a towel. What is it, Mama? You look so happy. I met my old friend, Maria, today, and she told me about a job opening as a housekeeper for the richest family in our city. Honor explained. The pay is amazing, Mmeso. 1 month's salary is more than what I earn in a whole year. Mmeso's face lit up with excitement. Mama, that's incredible. You should definitely apply for the job. Honor hesitated for a moment. There is one thing though. It's a living job. I would have to stay at their house. Meso thought for a moment and then smiled reassuringly. Don't worry about me, Mama. I will be fine by myself. I can take care of the house and we can visit each other often. Honor felt a surge of pride for her daughter's maturity and kindness. Are you sure, Meso? I don't want to leave you alone. Mama, I'll be fine. Meso insisted. This job could change our lives. You should take it. The next day, Honor dressed in her best clothes and went to apply for the job. She arrived at the Ifedi mansion, the largest house she had ever seen. The gate was guarded by security personnel, and the garden was meticulously maintained. She took a deep breath and approached the entrance. A man in a neat suit greeted her. Good morning. How can I help you? Good morning. I'm here to apply for the housekeeper position. Honor replied nervously. Please come in, the man said, leading her into the house. Honor was amazed by the grandeur of the mansion. The floor was made of polished marble, and the walls were adorned with exquisite paintings. She was led to a large sitting room where a stern-looking woman was waiting. Mrs. Prudence, this is Honor. She's here to apply for the housekeeper position, the man said. Mrs. Prudence looked Honor up and down with a critical eye. Please have a seat. Honor sat down, her heart pounding in her chest. Good morning, ma'am. Thank you for seeing me. Mrs. Prudence continued to scrutinize her. This job requires precision and dedication. There is no room for mistakes. Do you understand? Yes, ma'am, I understand. Honor replied, trying to hide her nervousness. No mistakes, or you will rot in jail, Mrs. Prudence said coldly. Honor swallowed hard and nodded. I understand, ma'am. I will do my best. Mrs. Prudence finally nodded. Very well. You will start immediately. Emeka will show you to your quarters and explain your duties. Thank you, ma'am, Honor said, standing up. Emeka, the man who had greeted Honor at the door, led her to her quarters. As they walked through the mansion, Emeka explained the rules and expectations. Mrs. Prudence is very strict. She doesn't give second chances, Emeka warned. Mr. Ifedi, her husband, is much kinder, but he travels a lot and isn't here to help if things go wrong. Just be careful and do your job well. I will. Thank you for the advice, Honor said gratefully. Emeka smiled. I have been working for the Ifedi family for 10 years. If you need any help, just ask. They arrived at a small but comfortable room that would be Honor's new home. Emeka left her to settle in, and Honor took a moment to gather her thoughts. She was nervous but determined to succeed. Later that day, Honor met some of other staff members. Some were friendly and welcoming, while others were distant and indifferent. Honor focused on her job, paying attention to every detail. The Ifedi family was indeed the richest in the city. Their mansion was filled with domestic staff, all working diligently to keep everything in perfect order. The family had three children, but Honor quickly learned that their lives had been marked by tragedy. Emeka had mentioned that the family's youngest child, a girl named Lucy, had gone missing 12 years ago when she was just 5 years old. The incident had left a lasting scar on the family. Mrs. Prudence had become even more strict and demanding, while Mr. Ifed, though kind, was often absent, traveling around the world for business. The Ifedi's first son, Emeka, worked alongside his father. He was a calm and easygoing young man, much like Mr. Ifedi, their father. Their second son, Obum, was in his final year at a university. Unlike his brother, Obum was strict and serious, much like their mother. One evening, after a long day of work, Ona sat in her quarters, reflecting on her first day. She felt a mixture of relief and anxiety. The job was demanding, but the pay was worth it. She thought about Meso, hoping that her daughter was managing well on her own. That evening, Ona called Meso on the phone. The day had been long and tiring for both of them, but hearing each other's voice was a source of comfort and joy. Hello, Mama, Meso answered brightly, her voice full of excitement. Hello, my dear Meso, Ona replied warmly. How are you? I'm doing well, Mama. How about you? How is your new job? Meso asked eagerly. It's a lot of work, but I'm managing. Ona said, the house is huge, and there are many people working here. I have to be very careful because Mrs. Prudence is very strict. You will do great, Mama. Just make sure you stay healthy and take care of yourself. Meso encouraged. Thank you, my dear. I miss you so much. Ona said, her voice softening. I want to see you, but I need some time to settle in. Mrs. Prudence is very particular about everything. I understand, Mama. Take your time. We will see each other soon. Meso reassured her mother. I love you. I love you too, Meso. Take care of yourself, Ona said, her heart full of love and pride. After the call, Meso sat down and thought about how she could help her mother. She didn't want to stay idle at home and decided to get a job at a local restaurant in the city. The next morning, during their phone call, Meso brought up her idea. Mama, I have been thinking. I want to get a job at a restaurant. I don't want to stay home doing nothing. Ona's voice became stern. No, Meso, you should focus on your studies. Register for JAM lessons instead. I will send you some money I have saved, and once I get paid, I will cover your school fees. Thank you, Mama. I promise to make you proud, Meso said, feeling grateful for her mother's support. The next day, Meso registered for JAM lessons and began attending classes. Her routine became structured. She would go to her lessons, come back home, eat, and then call her mother. They would talk and laugh about their daily experiences, sharing stories and encouraging each other. One evening, Meso called her mother as usual. Mama, how was your day today? She asked. It was good, my dear. The work is tiring, but I'm getting used to it. Ona said. How about you? How are your lessons going? They are really helpful, Mama. I'm learning a lot, Meso said. Thank you for encouraging me to focus on my studies. I'm so proud of you, Meso. Keep working hard. Ona said, her voice filled with pride. Ona's job at the mansion involved cleaning. She worked diligently, ensuring every corner of the house was spotless. She was careful not to make any mistakes, knowing how strict Mrs. Prudence could be. Ona's dedication did not go unnoticed by Emeka and some of the friendlier staff members, who often praised her hard work. Meso, today, I cleaned the entire east wing of the mansion, Ona shared during one of their calls. It was exhausting, but I managed to get everything done on time. You are amazing, Mama. I'm so proud of you, Meso said. Just make sure you rest and take care of yourself. Their lives continued this way. Each day, blending into the next. Meso focused on her studies, attending her lessons diligently, and working hard to prepare for the JAMB exam. Ona continued her work at the mansion, always careful and thorough in her duties. Finally, the day of the JAMB exam arrived. Meso was nervous but confident in her preparation. She took the exam and felt good about her performance. When the results were released, she was overjoyed. She had done exceptionally well and had achieved the grades needed for the course she wanted to study at the university. Mama, I did it. I passed the exam with flying colors. Meso exclaimed excitedly over the phone. That's a wonderful news, Meso. I knew you could do it. Ona replied, her voice filled with pride. I'm so proud of you. Thank you, Mama. I couldn't have done it without your support. Meso said, tears of joy filling her eyes. I tried calling you earlier, but your number wasn't going through. Ona's voice became concerned. Oh, that must be because of the network here. Sometimes it's very bad, but I'm so happy to hear your news now. Thank you, Mama. I love you so much, Meso said, feeling a warm sense of accomplishment and love. However, 2 days later, Meso kept trying to reach her mother, but each time she tried to call, the line was dead. Worry began to creep into her mind. What if something had happened to Ona? She decided she couldn't wait any longer and needed to check on her mother in person. On the third day, Meso woke up early, determined to visit the Ife mansion. She prepared herself quickly and made her way to the grand mansion where her mother worked. As she approached the mansion, her heart pounded with anxiety and anticipation. When Meso arrived at the mansion, she was stopped by a security guard at the gate. The guard was tall and wore a stern expression, his uniform crisp and neat. Who are you and what do you want? The guard asked, eyeing Meso with suspicion. My name is Meso, she replied, trying to keep her voice steady. My mother Ona works here. I need to see her. The guard looked at her for a moment and then nodded. Wait here, I will get her for you. Meso stood by the gate, her heart pounding with anxiety. She hoped everything would be all right. The guard walked away and soon found Ona inside the mansion. Ona, there is a young lady at the gate who says she's your daughter, the guard informed her. Ona's eyes widened with worry. Meso is here. Oh no, what could be wrong? She hurriedly ran to the gate, her heart racing. As she approached, she saw Mrs. Prudence standing there, looking stern and questioning Meso. What do you want? Mrs. Prudence asked sharply. Meso, feeling nervous under Mrs. Prudence's piercing gaze, explained, I'm here to see my mother. I was worried because I couldn't reach her. Just then, Ona arrived, breathing heavily from running. Meso, what are you doing here? She asked, her voice filled with concern. Mrs. Prudence turned to Ona, her eyes flashing with anger. Is my house a charity organization, Ona? Are you bringing your family members here now? Ona's face turned pale, and she pleaded, No, ma'am. I didn't invite her. She came on her own because she was worried about me. Mrs. Prudence glared at her. Take her out of here immediately. If I ever see her on this premises again, you will be fired. Do you understand? Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry, ma'am. Ona said, bowing her head. She quickly took Meso's hand and led her away from the gate. They walked until they found a quiet spot where they could talk. Ona turned to Meso, her face a mix of relief and worry. Meso, why did you come here? Ona said gently. I was worried, Mama. Your number wasn't going through for days, Meso explained, her voice trembling. Ona sighed deeply. I'm so sorry, my dear. Obum, Mrs. Prudence's second son, threw my phone into a bucket of water when I wanted to clean his room. Meso's eyes widened with anger. What? Is that boy out of his mind? Ona quickly placed a finger on her lips. Shh, keep your voice down, please, Meso. Promise me you won't come here uninvited again. It could cost me my job. Meso felt a lump in her throat. I'm sorry, Mama. I won't do it again, I promise. Ona smiled weakly and hugged her daughter tightly. Thank you, my dear. I will be off for 2 days next week. I will come home and we can spend time together. All right, Mama. I'll be waiting for you, Meso said, her voice soft and full of emotion. They hugged each other once more before saying goodbye. As Meso walked back home, she couldn't shake the feeling of worry and hope. She hoped that one day everything would be all right. As she made her way home through the busy streets of Enugu, Meso thought about her mother. She admired Honor's strength and resilience. Despite all the hardships, her mother never complained and always found a way to make things work. Meso vowed to work hard in her studies and make her mother proud. The week passed slowly for Meso, studied hard, and eagerly awaited her mother's visit. Each evening, she would prepare a little more for Honor's return, tidying up the house and planning meals they could enjoy together. Finally, the day arrived. Meso woke up early, her heart full of excitement. She prepared a special breakfast and waited eagerly for her mother. Around noon, there was a knock on the door, and Meso rushed to open it. Mama! She exclaimed, her face lighting up with joy. Honor stood at the door, a tired but happy smile on her face. Meso, it's so good to see you. They embraced tightly, both of them feeling a wave of relief and happiness wash over them. Honor stepped inside, and Meso quickly took her bags and set them down. Come, Mama, I made breakfast for us, Meso said, leading her mother to the kitchen. Honor sat down at the table, and Meso served her a plate of steaming jollof rice and fried plantains. They ate together, chatting and laughing about their week. It's so good to be home, Honor said, savoring the food. I have missed you so much, Meso. I have missed you too, Mama. I'm so glad you are here. Meso replied, her eyes shining with happiness. After breakfast, they spent the day together, catching up on everything that had happened. The 2 days that Meso and Honor spent together were filled with joy and laughter. They cooked meals, shared stories, and enjoyed each other's company. It was a rare moment of peace and happiness for both of them. On the morning Honor was supposed to return to the mansion, she woke up feeling weak and ill. Mama, are you okay? Meso asked, noticing her mother's pale face. I'm not feeling well, my dear, Honor replied, her voice weak. Don't worry, Mama. I will get you some medicine from the pharmacy, Meso said, hurrying to get dressed. Meso quickly went to the nearby pharmacy and bought some medicine. When she returned, she found Honor lying on the couch, looking even weaker. She helped her mother take the medicine and then cooked a simple meal to help her regain some strength. Thank you, Meso, Honor said after eating. But what about my job? Mrs. Prudence will be furious if I don't return today. Don't worry about that, Mama. I will go to the mansion and explain everything to Mrs. Prudence. You just rest and get better, Meso reassured her. Honor nodded, feeling grateful for her daughter's support. Be careful, Meso. Mrs. Prudence can be very strict. I will, Mama. Just focus on getting better, Meso said, hugging her mother before leaving. Meso walked to the mansion with a heavy heart, hoping that Mrs. Prudence would understand their situation. When she arrived, she found Mrs. Prudence in the garden, supervising some workers. Mrs. Prudence, may I speak with you? Meso asked politely. Mrs. Prudence turned to her with a frown. What is it? It's about my mother, Honor. She's very sick and can't come to work today. I'm here to let you know, Meso explained, her voice trembling. Mrs. Prudence face hardened. Sick or not, she needs to be here. If she doesn't return to work immediately, she should never come back. Meso felt tears welling up in her eyes. She knelt down pleading. Please, Mrs. Prudence, give her a few days to recover. I can cover for her until she returns. Mrs. Prudence looked at her disdainfully, thinking for a moment. Finally, she said, "All right, but you must follow my orders exactly. No mistakes. Do you understand?" "Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am," Meso said, relief washing over her. Mrs. Prudence gave her a list of tasks and strict instructions. "You will work without resting. If I catch you idle, you will be fired, and your mother will never return," she threatened. Meso started her work immediately, determined to do everything perfectly. However, things took a turn for the worse when Obum, Mrs. Prudence's second son, found out that Meso was covering for her mother. "Who are you?" Obum demanded when he saw Meso cleaning the living room. "I am Meso, Honor's daughter," she replied quietly. "So you are the daughter of that poor maid?" Obum sneered. "Well, from now on, you are my personal maid. Do everything I say, or you will be sorry." Meso nodded, feeling a knot form in her stomach. She knew Obum was known for being difficult, but she had no choice. She had to obey his commands to keep her mother's job safe. Throughout the day, Obum made life unbearable for Meso. He would spill water, juice, and food on the floor, then demand that she clean it up immediately. "Clean it up, you poor girl," Obum said, smirking as he knocked over a glass of juice. "Yes, sir," Meso replied, kneeling to clean the mess. No matter how hard she worked, Obum found ways to make her tasks even more difficult. He would insult her, calling her names and belittling her. "You are nothing but a slave in this house," Obum taunted. "Why don't you go back to where you came from?" Meso kept her head down, refusing to let his words break her spirit. She reminded herself that she was doing this for her mother. She obeyed all of Obum's orders without complaining, even when he made her clean the same spot over and over again. One afternoon, while Meso was scrubbing the kitchen floor, Obum walked in and deliberately spilled a pot of stew. "Clean it up," he ordered, a cruel smile on his face. Meso bit her lip and started cleaning, her hands shaking. She felt humiliated but kept her resolve strong. She wouldn't let Obum's cruelty defeat her. Mrs. Prudence was never nice to Meso. She made sure Meso worked all through the day without resting. Every time Mrs. Prudence saw Meso slowing down, she would scold her harshly. "If I ever see you staying idle, you'll be fired, and honor will return again," she threatened. As the days passed, Meso continued to endure Obum's harsh treatment and Mrs. Prudence's relentless supervision. Each night, she would return home exhausted, but she never complained to her mother. She didn't want Honor to worry or feel guilty. One evening, after a particular day, Meso sat down with Honor, who was starting to feel better. "Mama, how are you feeling today?" Meso asked, trying to sound cheerful. "I'm feeling a bit stronger, thanks to you," Honor replied, smiling weakly. "How was your day at the mansion?" "It was tough, Mama," Meso admitted, her voice trembling slightly, "but I'm managing." Honor looked at her daughter with concern. "I hate that you are going through this because of me." "Don't worry, Mama. I can handle it," Meso said, reaching out to hold her mother's hand. Emeka, one of the guards, often noticed Meso's struggles. He was a kind man who had been working for the Ifede family for many years. One evening, he found Meso sitting by herself, looking tired and worn out. "Meso, are you okay?" Emeka asked gently. Meso looked up and forced a smile. "I'm fine, sir. Just tired." "I see how hard you are working," Emeka said, sitting down beside her. "Don't give up. You are doing a great job." "Thank you, sir. It's just so hard sometimes," Meso admitted, her eyes filling with tears. "I know it is," Emeka said kindly. "But you are strong, Meso, and you are doing this for your mother. Keep going and don't let them break your spirit." Meso nodded, feeling a bit of strength return. "Thank you, sir. Your words means a lot to me." "Anytime," Emeka replied with a reassuring smile. If you ever need to talk, I'm here. With Emeka's encouragement, Mmeso felt a renewed sense of determination. She knew that no matter how tough things get, she had the support of people who believed in her. The next day, Mmeso returned to the mansion, ready to face whatever challenges came her way. She worked diligently, focusing on her tasks and ignoring Obum's taunts as best as she could. She reminded herself that she was strong and that she was doing this for her mother. As she scrubbed the floors and cleaned the rooms, she thought about her dreams for the future. She wanted to go to the university, get a good job, and take care of her mother. She knew that with hard work and determination, she could achieve anything. One afternoon, while Miso was cleaning the living room, Mrs. Prudence walked in. She watched Miso walk for a moment before speaking. Remember, no resting, Mrs. Prudence said sharply. If I see you idle, you are gone. Yes, ma'am, Miso replied, her voice steady. Miso felt a sense of pride. Despite all the hardships, she was doing her best. She knew that her mother's job was safe, and that gave her strength to keep going. As the days went by, Miso continued to endure Obum's harsh treatment and Mrs. Prudence's relentless supervision. She also found small moments of kindness from other staff members, especially Emeka. These moments gave her hope and reminded her that not everyone was like Obum and Mrs. Prudence. One evening, as Meso was preparing to leave the mansion, Emeka approached her again. Meso, you are doing a great job. Emeka said kindly, your mother must be very proud of you. Thank you, sir. Meso replied, feeling grateful for his words. I'm just trying to help her. You are doing more than that. You are showing great strength and determination. Keep it up, Emeka said, giving her a reassuring smile. Meso nodded, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. That night, as she walked home, Meso felt a glimmer of hope. She knew that the road ahead would be challenging, but she was ready to face it. She had her mother's love and the support of those who saw her strength. She arrived home to find Ona sitting up, looking much better. Mama, you look so much stronger today, Meso said, hugging her mother. Thank you, my dear. I can't wait to return to work and thank Mrs. Prudence for letting you cover for me. Ona said, her eyes filled with gratitude. Mama, you just focus on getting completely well. I will take care of everything else, Meso said, her voice filled with determination. As they sat together, Meso felt a deep sense of resolve. She knew that no matter what challenges came their way, they would face them together. Their bond, forged through love and resilience, was unbreakable, and with that strength, they would overcome any obstacle. The next day, Meso and Ona went back to the mansion together. Ona wanted to thank Mrs. Prudence for allowing Meso to cover for her while she was sick. They found Mrs. Prudence in the garden, inspecting some flowers. Good morning, Mrs. Prudence, Ona said politely, bowing slightly. I wanted to thank you for letting my daughter, Meso, cover for me while I was unwell. Mrs. Prudence looked up, her expression hard and unyielding. Yes, Ona, but I've decided something. You both will work here from now on. Obum wants Meso as his personal maid. Ona was shocked. But ma'am, Meso needs to go back to school. She has her education to think about. She tried to explain. Mrs. Prudence waved her hand dismissively. I don't want to hear that. You both work here or you both leave. Make your choice. Ona and Meso exchanged worried glances. Ona turned to Meso and said, let's leave Meso. We'll find another way. I can get a new job. But Meso shook her head. No, Mama. Let's take the job. We can save enough money in a few months and then I can go back to school. Ona sighed, knowing Meso was right. All right, my dear. We'll stay for a while, she said reluctantly. Their stay at the Ife mansion was difficult. Both Obum and Mrs. Prudence made life unbearable for them. They were given the hardest tasks and were constantly scolded for even the smallest mistakes. One day, Meso was instructed to go into the main building to serve Obum. It was her first time inside the grand house. As she walked through the hallway, she noticed a series of family photos hanging on the wall. Her eyes widened when she saw a picture of herself as a baby among the photos. How can this be? Meso whispered to herself, feeling a sense of shock and confusion. She hurried back to the quarters and found her mother. Mama, you need to come with me. I saw something strange, Meso said, pulling Honor by the hand. They went back into the main building, and Meso led her mother to the wall of photos. Look, Mama, that's me as a baby in that picture, Meso said, pointing at the photo. Honor's eyes widened in surprise. How? How is this possible? She stammered, staring at the photo in disbelief. At that moment, Obama approached them. What are you both doing in the main building? He demanded, his tone harsh. Meso turned to her mother, her voice trembling. Mama, why is my childhood picture in the Ifedis family photo album? And why are Mrs. Prudence and Mr. Ifed in the picture with me? Ona couldn't find the words. She looked down, her face pale. Meso, let's go back home. I will explain everything, she said, her voice shaky. Obum, noticing the commotion, stepped closer and examined the photo. His eyes widened in realization. Is that you in the photo? He asked, looking intently at Meso's face. He gently turned her face towards the light and peered into her eyes. You are my lost younger sister, he whispered in shock. Honor grabbed Meso's hand, panic rising in her chest. We need to leave now, she said urgently. They fled the mansion quickly, their hearts pounding. Meso's mind was racing with questions, but she knew she had to be patient. Honor's promise to explain everything gave her a small sense of hope. Obum rushed into the house, his heart pounding with excitement and fear. His mother, Mrs. Prudence, was in the living room, arranging some flowers, when he burst in. Mama, Papa, I have something to tell you both, he exclaimed. Mr. Ifedi, who had just returned from a business trip, looked up from his newspaper, a frown of concern on his face. What is it, Obum? What's the matter? He asked. Meso, she's my sister, the one we have been looking for all these years, Obum blurted out. Mrs. Prudence stared at him in shock. What are you talking about, Obum? How can Meso be our lost daughter? Obum took a deep breath and began to explain. I saw her looking at a photo in her house. It was a picture of her as a baby, in her family album. She recognized herself, and when she showed Honor, they both looked so shocked and scared. I followed them and I saw the exact same birthmark behind her ear that my lost sister had. Mr. Ifedi's eyes widened in disbelief. Are you sure, Obum? This is a very serious matter. Yes, Papa, Obum insisted. She has the same birthmark and everything. I'm sure of it. Mrs. Prudence's eyes filled with tears. We need to go to Honor's apartment immediately, she said, her voice trembling. The family quickly made their way to Honor's apartment. Inside, Meso had brought out her box of belongings and was showing Honor a picture of herself as a baby. Look, Mama, Meso said, tears streaming down her face. It's me. Why was I in their family photo? Honor took a deep breath and held Meso's hand. Meso, calm down and listen to me, she said gently. Years ago, I found you unconscious in an unfinished building. You had lost your memory and couldn't remember anything about yourself or your family. Meso's eyes widened in shock. You mean I wasn't always with you? Honor nodded, her own eyes brimming with tears. I named you Meso because I didn't know your real name. I had always wanted a child, and you became like a daughter to me. Meso was stunned. Do you think the Ife family could be my real family? Honor nodded slowly. It's possible. Emeka once told me a story about how the Ife family lost their 5-year-old daughter 12 years ago. The same year I found you. As they were talking, a knock came at the door. Panic set in. Meso ran into her room, while Honor went to answer it. It was the Ife family. They stood at the door, looking anxious and hopeful.
Please, Honor, Mr. Ifedi said, his voice soft but pleading. We need to talk to Mmeso. We need to know the truth. We want to do a DNA test to be sure. We promise not to intrude. Honor shook her head. You can't take her away from me. She's my daughter now, she said firmly. Mrs. Prudence, tears streaming down her face, stepped forward. We don't want to take her away from you, Honor. We just want to know if she's our daughter. Please, let us talk to her. Obum added, she's my sister. I just found her. Please, Honor. Honor hesitated, her heart torn. Finally, she nodded and called Meso out. Meso stepped into the living room, her face set with determination. I am not going anywhere, Meso said, her voice steady. Honor is the only family I have. Mr. Ifedi stepped forward, his eyes gentle. Meso, we understand how you feel, but we need to know the truth. Please let us do a DNA test. We promise not to take you away from Honor. We just want to know if you are our daughter. Meso looked at Honor, who nodded slightly. All right, Meso said, but if the test proves I'm your daughter, I still want to stay with Honor. Mrs. Prudence nodded, her eyes filled with gratitude. Of course, Meso. We just want to know the truth. Honor and Meso sat down with the Ifede family, and they talked for a long time. Meso learned about the family she might have been born into, and the Ifedis learned about the life Meso had lived with Honor. Emeka arrived shortly after and was surprised to see the Ifede family in Honor's apartment. He listened quietly as they explained the situation and nodded in understanding. I always had a feeling there was more to Meso's story, he said. The Ifede family arranged for the DNA test as soon as possible. We'll contact the best lab in the city, Mr. Ifede said. We need to know the truth. Meso looked at Honor, who smiled reassuringly. Everything will be all right, my dear. Honor said, no matter what happens, we'll face it together. That night, Meso and Honor sat together, their hearts heavy with anticipation. Mama, what if the test proves they are my family? Meso asked softly. Honor held her close. Then, we'll find a way to make it work, Meso. You have always been my daughter, and that won't change. The rest of the evening was filled with tension as they tried to piece together what had happened. Meso's mind was racing with questions, but she knew she had to be patient. Honor's promise to explain everything gave her a small sense of hope. As night fell, they decided to get some rest. They knew that the days ahead would be challenging, but they were determined to face them together. The day of the DNA test arrived. Meso, Honor, and the Fede family went to the best lab in the city, their hearts heavy with anticipation. The wait felt like an eternity, each minute stretching into hours. Finally, the doctor emerged, holding an envelope with the results. The DNA test results are conclusive, the doctor said, looking at the anxious faces before him. Meso, you are indeed the biological daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Ifedi. The room erupted in tears and emotions. Mr. Ifedi and Mrs. Prudence rushed forward to embrace Meso. Lucy, my baby, Lucy. Mrs. Prudence sobbed, hugging Meso tightly. Mr. Ifedi joined them, his voice choked with emotion. We have missed you so much, Lucy. We never stopped looking for you. Obum, standing beside them, wiped away his tears and smiled. Welcome back, sis. Meso stood there, overwhelmed by the sudden flood of emotions. She felt their arms around her, but her mind was a whirlwind of confusion and sadness. I need time to come to terms with all of this, she said, her voice trembling. The Ifedi stepped back, giving her space. Of course, Lucy, Mr. Ifedi said gently. Take all the time you need. Meso turned to Honor, who was standing quietly by, her eyes filled with tears. Mama, can we go home now? Meso asked softly. Yes, my dear, let's go home, Honor replied, putting her arm around Meso. As they walked back to their apartment, Meso felt a mix of relief and sorrow. She leaned on Honor, finding comfort in her presence. When they got home, Meso broke down in tears. Mama, everything is so confusing. Meso cried. I don't know what to feel. I love you. And now I have another family too. Ona hugged her tightly. I know, my dear. It's a lot to take in, but remember, you don't have to choose. You can love both families. I'm here for you always. In the days that followed, the family kept coming back, asking Meso to come and spend time with them. But Meso wasn't ready. She stayed with Ona, who continued to comfort her and reassure her. One evening, as they sat together, Ona spoke softly. Meso, I know this is hard for you, but maybe you should spend time with the Ifedis. They are your family too, and they miss you so much. Meso sighed. I know, Mama, but I'm scared. What if they want to take me away from you? Ona smiled gently. They won't take you away from me. They just want to know you, just like you want to know them. Go spend time with them. I will be here waiting for you. Reluctantly, Meso agreed. She started visiting the Ifede family, spending time with her biological parents and her brothers, Obum and Emenike. At first, it was awkward, but gradually, Meso began to feel more comfortable. She learned about her past, and they shared stories and memories. One day, Mr. Ifedi called Ona and Meso to their new home. We have a surprise for you, he said with a smile. When they arrived, they saw a beautiful new house and a large store with Ona's name on it. This is for you, Ona, Mr. Ifedi said. We want to thank you for taking care of Meso all these years. You deserve this. Ona was speechless, tears streaming down her face. I don't know what to say. Thank you so much. Meso hugged Ona. I'm so happy for you, Mama. You deserve this. The house and the store brought a lot of positive changes to their lives. Ona's store became very successful, and she enjoyed running it. Meso was relieved to see her mother happy and settled. Meanwhile, Meso made peace with Obum and grew close to her brothers and her biological parents. She spent more time with them, and they bonded over shared experiences and new memories. One day, as they were all sitting together, Mr. Ifedi said, Lucy, we want to support your dreams. If you want to study abroad, we will help you. Meso's eyes lit up with excitement. Really? I have always dreamed of studying abroad. Mrs. Prudence nodded. Yes, Lucy. We want you to have the best opportunities. We'll arrange everything. As the plans took shape, Meso felt a mix of excitement and sadness. She would miss Honor terribly, but she knew this was a great opportunity. Before she left, she sat down with Honor to talk about her plans. Mama, I'm going to study abroad, Meso said, her voice trembling, but I will keep in touch with you all the time, I promise. Honor smiled, her eyes filled with pride and love. I'm so proud of you, Meso. Follow your dreams and don't worry about me. I will be here cheering you on. On the day of her departure, both families gathered at the airport to see her off. Meso hugged Honor tightly. I love you, Mama. Thank you for everything. I love you too, Meso. Go and make us proud, Honor replied, tears streaming down her face. Meso turned to her biological family and hugged them as well. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I will make you all proud. As she boarded the plane, Meso looked back at her families, feeling a deep sense of gratitude and love. She knew she was leaving behind a strong support system, and that gave her the strength to face the future. The plane took off, and Meso settled into her seat, her heart full of hope and excitement for the journey ahead. She thought about all the people who loved and supported her, and she knew she would carry their love with her wherever she went. And so, Meso's story, filled with love, resilience, and new beginnings, continued as she embarked on a new chapter of her life, ready to embrace the world with open arms. This story of Meso teaches us about the importance of love, family, and kindness. Meso grew up with Honor, who found her when she was a little girl and took care of her like her own daughter. Honor showed great love and kindness, even though she wasn't Meso's real mother. When Umeso discovered her real family, the Ifedis, she felt confused and scared. But she learned that it's okay to have more than one family, to love them both. The Ifedi family also showed kindness by not taking Umeso away from Honor and by helping Honor with a new house and store. This story teaches us that love and family come in many forms. Being kind and caring like Honor and Ife the family makes a big difference in people's lives. It's important to support and respect each other, even when things are difficult. In the end, Mesa followed her dreams with the support of both families. The lesson is to be kind, love your family, and never give up on your dreams. Thank you so much for watching this amazing story about Miso and her family on African Stories. If you liked it and felt inspired with their journey, please show your support by clicking the like button, sharing with your friends, and leaving a comment below. To see more interesting stories and learn about different cultures, subscribe to African Stories and don't forget to ring the notification bell so you never miss a new story. Your support means a lot and helps us bring more stories to you. Until we meet again, stay connected, stay inspired, and keep smiling.